All right, I have a 4-pound bird here, a pastured chicken, and we are gonna cut it into parts to roast it. So I preheated the oven to 350 degrees. I have a sheet pan covered in a heavy-duty aluminum foil here, ready to accept all the pieces as I cut them apart. So the first step is to cut the leg away from the breast. So I have this chicken breast side up, and you can see kind of this line of tissue here. We're gonna cut along that. You want to cut as far away from the breast as you can, and as you cut it apart, there's a nice space there. So it will be very obvious that you're on the right track because you're not really cutting through any meat. You're cutting right along this nice open space between the breast and this is the leg, and then here is your thigh. So we cut along that just to allow it to kind of splay open. And then it's easier to turn this baby around to do the other side if you're right-handed. And so you just kind of follow right along the edge of the thigh there. And now that kind of splays open. So now we're gonna flip it over and we're going to cut off the wings. You can do a couple things. One, you can kind of take this whole wing drummy combination and flex it back and forth to kind of see where that, or feel where the joint is. As you cut it open, you can see the kind of the ball and socket joint here. You're gonna cut right along where that ball is and it comes right off. Same thing with the other side. And if your knife is sharp, it should cut right through this material quite easily. Okay, so there, I'm not right on the joint line, but I can feel it right here. And sometimes joints, you'll find a chicken and the joint is fused just a little bit. So that makes it a little bit more of a challenge as well. All right, so now we're gonna take off the thigh. So here you've got the leg, and here is the thigh coming up to the backbone. And if we flip it over, that's where we've already splayed it apart. So we're gonna come to the side and we're basically gonna continue this circular path. Sometimes there's a little bit more of a soft tissue line of cartilage there, but either way, if I move that joint, I can kind of see where the crease is. That's right where I'm going to cut, and it's kind of this loop pattern here. And again, when you're on the right track, it should go through without a lot of force. So now we've got the leg and the thigh, and then we'll end up cutting that apart from each other, but we'll do this other side first. So again, I'm just following kind of this loop around, and then so there's the other one, leg and thigh. All right, now I've got the backbone here, and I still have the breasts that I can cut apart. So I will take and cut right down the center, right down that center bone there to split the skin. And now I can come right, it's nice and easy. You're just coming right along the bony surface to cut off the breast. And this is just a nice, easy, slow cut. And when you do it that way, you can lay out the skin, but you can cook it with that skin, bake it with the skin on it so it absorbs all of that great flavor. So now you're going to come back right along the edge of that bone and slowly pull away. the breast meat. And there you have it. So there's the other breast. So I'm going to set the two breasts onto the pan. There's lots of great meat left on here. You have a couple choices. You can take a spoon and pull off all that meat and kind of cook it separately, or you can just cook it right on here and pull the meat off after it's cooked, which is my personal preference. So I'm going to throw that onto the pan as well. Now we're going to take the leg and thigh and we're going to cut that apart. So as you flip it over, again, you've got this cartilage kind of strip, and that's where you cut. You can also do a little bit of, flexing of that joint to see where it is. And once you're on the correct spot, it slides right through. So if you're hitting a big bony block, then adjust your knife slightly. I didn't get that cut all the way through. There we go. Leg and a thigh. Now we have our wings. So we're going to take this drummy and cut it apart from the wing. And this is another one where you can kind of feel where that joint is. There we go. And we can cut off this little guy too. Okay, so the wing and the drummy. Same thing with this one. All right, so there we have all the pieces. I will slide this cutting board out of the way and show you how I lay out all of the pieces onto this aluminum foil covered baking sheet. So I take the breasts are gonna take a little bit longer to cook, so I put those into the corners. I put the drummies and the wings in the middle. And I do roast these little guys too, because I'm gonna make bone broth out of this. So that being in my future, roasted bones provide a lot more flavor for your bone broth than if you threw raw bones on there. So I typically like to roast all of them. All right, so that's all laid out. I'm gonna go wash my hands, and then I just drizzle all of this with a little olive oil, salt and pepper, and throw it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. So I will show you that next step when we get to it.